Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Shri Matre Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. In this episode, let us talk about the serpentine power. What is serpentine power? Where does this sarpa comes from in the kundalini yoga? Does literally serpentine or snake or sarpa power exist in our kundalini shakti? There are many books written on the serpentine power. Very few know actual meaning of the serpentine power. What does sarpa literally mean? Does sarpa have the power to awaken this kundalini? Actually, what is sarpa? Sarpa literally doesn't exist really or literally exist in the subtle body or the gross body. Then why people call it as serpentine power? The hissing sound of the sarpa resembles to the breath of the human being. It was symbolically said that the sarpa means the breath of the human beings. Say, when we awaken the kundalini, when we are into the kundalini yoga, and when we try to do arohana and avarohana, there are many pranayamas one should go through. Observe this. When we provoke the snake, it gives an hissing sound as a warning that it will attack. The same sound is heard when we awaken the kundalini. When we try to do arohana and avarohana of kundalini, the same sound is heard. See, for example, Kapalabhati pranayama. The Kapalabhati pranayama, when we forcefully expel the breath out of our lungs like this, that is similar to the hissing sound of a snake. So our sages, Rishi Munis in our tradition said that it is a symbolism, it is a symbolic. When we try to awake our kundalini, it is similar to that of serpentine hissing. So the breath is called as sarpa. The breath is the symbolism of kundalini yoga. When kundalini is awakened or in the process, the breath resembles to that of sarpa. So our Rishi Munis called it as serpentine power. Serpentine power is nothing but the power of breath. So we can conclude that the symbolic representation of the breath is called as serpentine power. There is a mechanism of awakening of the kundalini. Hey, why do I call it as mechanism? Because as we all know, kundalini means the cavity is full of energy, and to unify with that energy, we need a process to withdraw that energy from Mooladhara chakra to Sahasrara sthiti. How can we withdraw that energy? Just to tame the sarpa, that is, just to tame the breath. If you tame the sarpa, it will rise. The energy is withdrawn through the frictional force of breath. It is called arohana and avarohana of kundalini energy. See, when we are in the process of taming that energy, the sound of the human breath heavily resembles the sound of a hissing snake. So our people or sages of traditional Sanatani symbolize it as serpentine power. Serpentine power is only the power of breath. We don't find literally a snake in that cavity. So there are again myths on the 3.5 coil of a sarpa. That is a symbolic representation of tamoguna, rajoguna, satvika guna. The 3 coil represents tamoguna, rajoguna and satvika guna. The half coil represents turiya sthiti, which is infinity. Infinity Infinity is full and can be filled. It is a never-ending process. So it is shown as the half coil. Tame this kundalini energy from the Mooladhara chakra by using your power of breath. By the power of breath, you have to tame the kundalini energy that lies in the cavity of the subtle body. It is a life force. So it is concluded that the power of breath is called as the power of serpentine. There are many symbols represent sarpa. There is a medical pin which represents sarpa surrounding a pin with two wings. This pin is a symbolic representation of Ida Pingala Nadi. The Ida goes from the left and ends in the right nostrils, and Pingala rises from the right and ends in the left nostrils. So it is shown as a spiral around the Merudanda. It is called as Merudanda. Merudanda is vertebral column, vertebras, a spine. These two sarpas revolves around the Merudanda, that is called a spine. Then the two wings that we see in this pin is hamsa, that is above your Agna chakra. The two sarpa represents the breath from Ida and Pingala. The center pin represents the spinal column. Above this pin, we find two wings. The two wings represents hamsa. We now know symbolic representation of sarpa is breath. Breath is symbolically represented as sarpa, and the Merudanda or the spine is represented as the channel where the life force or the energy rises in the spinal column or in the Merudanda. What does hamsa represent in kundalini? The serpentine power, the power of breath, ends in the Agna chakra. The Ida sarpa or the Pingala sarpa ends in the left nostrils, and the Ida sarpa ends in the right nostrils. At the base of this pin, or at the base of this thing, if you see the pin, in the Mooladhara chakra, we see Shushumana Nadi, Ida, Pingala and Shushumana Nadi. Where Ida Pingala meets the Shushumana Nadi is called as Sangama. From the Sangama, the Shushumana Nadi rises. The Shushumana Nadi rises in the spinal column and ends in the Agna chakra. From Agna chakra, we don't hear the sound of breath. The breath is shallow there. I'll be talking about each and every nadis in the coming episodes. There are various nadis. When Ida Pingala Nadi ends in left and right nostrils, the Shushumana Nadi ends in the Agna chakra. Because after activation of Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipura, Rita, Anahata, Vishuddhi, when you are into the activation of Agna chakra, your breath will become shallow and you don't hear the sing sound of sarpa from there onwards. When the breath is shallow and we don't hear the sing sound of a snake or the sound of the breath from Agna, it joins hamsa. Hamsa is a swan. If we see the swan flying, it doesn't make any sound. The swan doesn't make any sound. The breath will be shallow and we cannot hear the sound of our breathing because it is very shallow. The breath we take enters the nostrils and ends in the Agna chakra. So we don't find the hissingness of the breath from there upwards. From the Agna chakra, the breath doesn't make sound, so it is called as hamsa. The symbolism of breath at the Agna chakra is symbolized, or it is said that it is like, the breath is like hamsa's flying of an hamsa. Swan doesn't make any sound while on its flight. So hamsa is a representation of the breath after the Agna chakra. From Agna Chakra, there are various chakras. From Agna Chakra, the Arohana and Avarohana doesn't happen. Because when Arohana and Avarohana happens, we have to withdraw that energy from Mooladhara Chakra. If you are withdrawing that energy from Mooladhara Chakra, you have to make friction so that energy is withdrawn. Friction with your breath, withdraw that energy from Mooladhara Chakra to the above centers. It is called as Arohana Avarohana or the serpentine power. I will be talking about the awakening of kundalini by pranayama, asana pranayama, mantra, tantra, in every possible way where the kundalini is activated through various forms of yoga. I will be talking about all of this. The two wings of hamsa represent the shallow breathing after Agna Chakra. Om Hamsa Hamsaya Vidmahe Hamsa Devaya Dhimahi Tanno Hamsa Prachodayat. So it is concluded that Hamsa is a representation of the shallow breathing above Agna Chakra. When the energy is withdrawn from Mooladhara Chakra through the frictional force of breath, see once again, through the frictional force of the breath in the hollow tube of spinal cord in the subtle body, the life force is raised. Again, the sound of the human breath is heard like or resembles like a hissing sound of a snake. So the snake doesn't literally exist in the cavity. It is a symbolic representation of the breath, and the hamsa is a symbolic representation of the breath after the Agna Chakra, because the breath is very shallow. Again, the mechanism of kundalini shakti or the kundalini yoga is to awaken the energy which lies in the kunda, and to unify with that energy is lini. One has to go through the process of breathing to awaken the life force which lies dormant in the cavity of subtle body. Please understand, the cavity lies in the region of Mooladhara Chakra, in between anus and genital region. That cavity where it lies is called as perineum region. The perineum region exists in the gross body. In the subtle body, where the perineum region exists, there exists a cavity with full of life force or the energy. To tame that energy, you need to go through a various process of Arohana and Avarohana. It can be done through mudras, bandhas, vidribandhas, pranayama, and some asanas, mantra, tantra, yantra yogas, and even you can activate this kundalini shakti through bhakti yoga also. The easiest way to activate kundalini shakti is the way of meditation and tantra. You can activate kundalini shakti through meditation very easily. And the second way of activation of kundalini very easily is mantra japa with tantra. The Hayagriva Tantra Sampradaya tells you all this method, so people don't get into an illusion that the serpentine power exists in human body or the subtle body. The Sarpa has no power, or Sarpa is not related in any way into awakening of the Kundalini. You don't go into the illusion that the Sarpa is rising from your Mooladhara Chakra. People tell that Sarpa literally rises from the Mooladhara Chakra. It doesn't. Sarpa don't really exist. Our serpentine power doesn't really exist in the human body, in the human subtle body or the gross body. It is a symbolism of the breath. Sarpa is a symbolic, it symbolizes or symbolic process of the human breath. So the serpentine power exists in human body or human gross body or in human subtle body is a myth. The Sarpa and the swan, that is hamsa, is a representation of breath of the human beings or any other animal. The sing sound of the Sarpa resembles to that of the breath of the human being is called as serpentine power. The hamsa represents the shallow breathing of the human being after the activation of Agna Chakra and thereafterwards. And there is a myth also. A master can activate your kundalini by his energy. This is a myth. No master can activate your kundalini by his power or by his energy. You have to do it for yourself. Only a traditional master can teach you a perfect subject on the awakening of the kundalini energy. In India or in Bharatadesha or Bharatabhumi, we find such masters. Shakti is a Sanskrit word which means energy of any kind. There are so many books written on Shakti, the power of Shakti, the power of serpentine, the inner tantric, written on inner tantric yoga. There are many books written on kundalini yoga, but none of them, very few, tells you the reality, and many of the books takes you to the illusion state of mind. When you read those books saying that serpentine power, you have to activate like this, do this mantra, then you will be activated that serpentine power. Serpentine power is a myth. Again I am telling you, the symbolic representation of the human breath is called as serpentine power. The hissing of a snake resembles to that of human breath in the process of awakening the kundalini. So it is called as serpentine power. In the next episodes, we will be continuing our talk on the anatomy of kundalini yoga or the physiology of kundalini yoga. I will be explaining nadis of subtle body. Kundalini yoga is not that complicated yoga. If you understand the process, it will be very easy. To learn the kundalini yoga, you need a learned guru. And again I am saying this, kundalini yoga is a part of Sri Vidya. Without Sri Vidya, you cannot complete kundalini yoga. In the last episode I said that there are various sampradayas of Sri Vidya. See, again I am saying this, without understanding of Sri Vidya, you cannot do kundalini yoga. Kundalini yoga involves hatha yoga. Kundalini yoga involves dakshina marga. Kundalini yoga involves vama marga. Kundalini involves kaula marga and samyachara. Every meditation will lead you to the awakening of the kundalini yoga. Whatever meditation, whatever yoga you do, it finally leads you to the kundalini yoga or the activation of chakras. You may call it as chakras, you may call it as tantras. First you have to learn Sri Vidya. Without Sri Vidya, Kundalini Vidya or Kundalini yoga is incomplete. Kundalini Vidya is a part of Sri Vidya. If you have any questions on Kundalini yoga or Sri Vidya, you can message me. I will try to answer when I get the time. Be specific in your questions and only ask me about Kundalini Vidya, Sri Vidya or the Vidyas that are from Shakteya Sampradaya like Dashamahavidya, Chandika Vidya, which are tantric in nature. You can ask questions in Sri Vidya or in any Shakteya Sampradaya which are tantric in nature. Don't ask me questions about Brahmachara or Vaishnavachara or Brahma Sampradaya or Vaishnava Sampradaya. And be specific with your questions and message me on the number given in the description. Don't call me. I will answer each and every question in the beginning of the episodes. Namaskara.